Hey, everyone. Welcome to the latest podcast episode. This is your host, Terry Knight, and I have the wonderful Mrs. Portier in the house. And she is by far, I think she's bigger. She's going to be bigger than Dan Henry. Like this woman, I've seen her on social media. Like I get pumped looking at her damn freaking like posts that she's calling out people like me, everyone in between about running ads. She's so successful in this space, guys, running ads and being able to get results for clients. Like, I'm mind blown. Like I get pumped every time she posts. And this is on Facebook, by the way. And I've seen her ads just like reaching out to other people as well. So I appreciate you so much for coming on and wanting to drop some knowledge and put people in check like me on how to run ads, how to do it successfully, what to do, what not to do. And again, guys, she's a real deal. So I appreciate you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate that.
No, thank you. So first and foremost, let people know who you are and where you're from, and we'll just kind of go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. If you couldn't tell from my little accent, I am from the South. Right now, sitting in Biloxi, Mississippi, but originally from South Louisiana, where we also have another house. All because of what I'm actually going to talk about today. Right? I actually started in advertising long before social media even existed. 2002, I know I just aged myself. A couple of weeks ago, I just turned 43. So I've been in the game a really long time. When people are like, oh, I've been in the game and they're like, oh, 8 years, I'm like, oh, that's cute, right? Like, I started in 2002 working in television, almost worked in television for 2 decades before starting my business. So I have seen, advertising change from advertisers fighting for time on television, right? To now advertisers fighting on this. And so it's been a journey. And you know, that's my story all in a nutshell. I could go into more detail, but I know your listeners probably want to get into I want to know how to do better ads.
I think overall, but just to point out, happy belated birthday.
Thank
Okay.
you.
And I think you're just beginning, right? You say gave out your age, but you look very young. You look like you're in your 20s. So, you're
Well,
doing
thank
something
you.
right. Doing something right.
I say that it's because I swim in this beautiful Gulf of Mexico that's, like, right in front of me right now because of all the oil, it just keeps your skin all nice and that all the oil spills that happened when I was a kid,
Oh
I
my
always say
gosh.
because we swam in the Gulf, it kept our skin all nice and smooth.
Oh, she giving the secrets out,
There we
guys, right
go, there we
there. The
go.
golf. The golf.
Swim in the
But
Gulf, you'll look younger.
exactly. Good advice there. So you mentioned you started back in 2002 in television. I think that's pretty cool in that era, even back then, even now. Do you think television is fading now and everyone's kind of focused
Oh,
on short
absolutely
term?
not. Absolutely not. I
No?
mean, if you look at the ads for the Super Bowl, they're only getting more expensive, right? So, TV advertising is not going anywhere, especially now that television has actually added in a lot of the elements that we use with our phone, right? Because what are we doing when we're watching television? We're like scrolling our phones. You'll even see that TV ads now have QR codes, right? So even television are finding ways to actually get people from the television screen into this and onto their products. And so their tracking has actually gotten a lot better, right? Like whenever I worked in television, I never had, a car dealership or an accident attorney storm into my edit bay and be like, I demand to know what commercial led to that client walking in, right? That would be ridiculous, right? You're smiling, you're laughing because like it's true, right? But yet, that's how so many people look at Facebook advertising or YouTube advertising. They're demanding to know which ad led to this, but it's not that black and white. There's a lot. And so, like today, I really want to show people an easier way to look at advertising and a way that will make you feel more comfortable about giving Mr. Zuckerberg some money.
You mentioned Mr. Zuckerberg. Recently, he was on the news talking about AI agents, about helping you optimize your ads, creatives, and
Oh, yeah.
targeting.
Ads are only getting easier, and that's why, like, it is important that people start today because guess what? Tomorrow it's gonna keep getting harder and harder to get attention. It's not gonna be harder to run the ads, it's gonna be harder to stand out because so many new people will be running ads. Like, I wanna say Ty Lopez the other day, on one of his videos said that there are 100,000 new digital businesses being started every single day. And what are all of those 100,000 digital businesses going to be doing? running ads, and Zuckerberg and, YouTube advertising, that's all just getting easier. And so if you don't start now, you will get left behind.
Ooh, okay. Didn't know that. For people who are not running ads, they're probably scared to run ads and lose money. What's your take on that?
You're never going to lose money with ads. How would you lose money?
I
I'm
mean,
going to I'm going to ask you that real question, right? Like because like how because here's the thing. If you pay Facebook $5 and it shows up in someone's newsfeed, it worked. Facebook ads work 100% of the time. Whether your messaging converts, that's a whole different story.
okay, yeah. So I think that's the mindset people have. Hey, let me just do X, Y, and Z, turn it on, and magic happens. There's more to it. Like
You
your
have
ad does
to
work.
have an entire ecosystem, right? Which is what we're going to talk about today in order to push more of those ads, right? So, like, if you think about back in the day, right, what do you think would have happened to Nike if they would have stopped running commercials after 2 weeks?
Their brand will kind of fall off. Like people would forget.
They would have never taken off ever if they would have stopped running ads after 2 weeks. Most real businesses, now when I'm talking real, I'm talking about like the brick and mortar businesses who are investing, hundreds and thousands, millions of dollars just to get started. They understand the long game of advertising. It wasn't until all of these digital businesses popped up that people have this misconception about how advertising is actually supposed to work, right? Because we hear from all of the gurus, dollar in, $2 out, right?
Yeah, I
So
heard
if
that.
you look at my ads manager right now, you will think that I suck at running ads. Like it will say that I've got like a 0.52 return on ad spend. But I've spent less than $150,000 to get upwards of $4 million. So why does my ads manager say that I suck at ads and I only have a 0.52 return on ad spend? Why do you
Okay,
think that is?
I you know, there's metrics involved in that, but your messaging is good, I would say.
Well, because Facebook doesn't track the things that happen because of ads. And that is what everyone is missing. So just last week, I stood in front of over 300 people at an event that Onyx Singal put on in Dallas, right? The Expert Summit. I was standing all on that stage because Onyx saw one of my ads 4 years ago. Will Facebook count that return on ad spend? No. But that's because of an ad. And so people aren't looking at the entire picture. They're just seeing what the Facebook ad is telling them. I'll give you another example. I get probably 10 to 11 applications for my high ticket program every single month. I don't run ads to it, but because people see my ads, they watch my content, they come to me directly in Messenger and say, "Hey, Laurel, can you send me the link to join Lean on Laurel?" Ads manager's not tracking that, but it's because of my ads. So you
It's
see
like
what
a
so you see what I'm saying? Like a lot of people have this very screwed up way of measuring their success of their ads when in reality, if most people would have just put on their ads and left them running, they would be in a better position today than they are because they've turned off their ads. Onyx said this is something super important that he said to my students the other day. He's like, "You don't have to be the best at something. You just have to show up more times than any other of your competitors, and people will automatically trust you because they see you the most." That's true. I'm not the best at ads. I'm not even the 1000th best at ads. Like not even in my city. I bet you there's 1,000 people here in Biloxi, Mississippi that could run ads better than me.
well, it's also like you mentioned, to me, it sounds like the 7-hour rule. Like they have to keep seeing you to build trust, authority, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, like there's so yeah. So actually Google just released like billions of data points, right? Like Google has this massive amount of data. 7 hours of consuming content, 11 different touch points across 4 different platforms before someone will
Jeez.
make a decision to buy even a low ticket product. 7 hours of consuming content. Now that could be someone consuming 1 hour of this podcast episode, right? It could be they see me on this podcast episode and they're like, "Oh, I'm going to go check out her YouTube channel." They watch a YouTube video there. Oh, then they start seeing my ads. They consume more of my content. They go to my website. They listen to my podcast, right? All of that counts towards that 7 hours, but it's no longer okay, I'm just going to sit and watch, a YouTube video and then I'm going to make a decision to buy. 7 hours is a long time, especially when most people are caught up in the world of shorts and reels, right?
Yeah, 100%. What stood out to me was you spent less than a K, you said, and you made a couple $1,000,000. I think you mentioned 4. How the heck did you get to that point? Like, that's mind-boggling, like, that's amazing. Like, anyone would be happy with those type of results.
7 years of work and
Jeez.
showing up consistently. And I use ads to show up consistently because I'm human, stuff happens, but my ads are running all the time. So people think I'm on social media all the time when really I'm on social media a fraction of my time.
My goodness. Well, you're running $5 ads. You preach this to the choir, $5 ads.
Yeah.
What's the concept behind that, and what made you come up with that idea?
Yeah. Absolutely. So whenever I worked in television, I worked for CBS, and CBS has a lot of affiliates across the country, right? And so it was my job to not only create the on-air promos for new television shows and news programs, it was also my job to, and this is before they even gave me a social media job. This was when I was still a producer, right? Social media was just kind of the extra fun work for me. It wasn't until, let's see, I started doing social media for them in 2008 when I was still a producer. And it took them 2014 before they actually recognized social media as being a separate job. So a very long time. And so whenever I started working in Dallas, Texas at the CBS affiliate there. And as I was creating all of these news promos and TV show topicals, I figured out that, you know what? Like, if we're going to use Facebook advertising, we could actually get out all of these syndicated promos in these news programs and all of our demo markets, like our hot zips back, if you know what the Nielsen ratings are, right? We wanted to strategically put our content where those Nielsen boxes were. And so all I was doing was launching these $5 promos in all of these markets for $5 a day. What I started to notice is that, dang, these videos are getting more views than the people that are paying $2,000 for a 30-second spot on television. I was like, wow, this is really freaking cool. Right. And I just sat on that. Right. Because, like, I was a television producer. I worked my way up. I wanted to work at CBS. I actually wanted to work at ABC 7. Don't tell CBS that, but I actually wanted to work at ABC 7 in Los Angeles. That was kind of like going to be my, like, if you would have asked me 10 years ago, that's what I would have told you. I'm going to be head of ABC 7 marketing in Los Angeles. And then I met my beautiful wife in 2016. One day we're sitting there watching HGTV, the House Hunters International TV show, right? And we were just
Uh-huh.
chatting and I was like, where do you see what do you, we had just met. It wasn't that long. I was like, where do you see yourself? Like, what do you want to do? And she mentioned that she wanted to start a t-shirt company. I was like, what? Really? Where'd that come from? Because she was working HR for Delta Airlines, right? It was kind of out of the blue. And I literally just got on my laptop and I was like, that would be a fun little hobby. And so I found this company called Teespring, which was a drop ship company. And I was like, well, I do all my graphics at the TV station. So let's just crank out a couple of fun graphics, throw them, on Teespring, and I'll run some ads and let's just see what happens. Right. And then we were pretty successful. We were doing okay. We were, selling t-shirts. We would show up a lot. We had bicycle t-shirts for women who like to bicycle, and so we would go to rides with the Phoenix girls on the bicycles and stuff, and they would wear our shirts. They would post them on social media, and then we would get more sales, right? So it was kind of like a little viral thing in Phoenix. And then we had
Mhm.
like a cycle studio license some of our t-shirts for their spin classes and stuff. So I mean, we were getting some traction just by doing the little thing that we were doing. And then one day, and you're gonna laugh because you're gonna know exactly what's about to happen. One day on social media, I said, "Hey, babe, Damon John is going to be in Phoenix." And she's like, "What?" And I was like, "He's doing a free event at this hotel." And I was like,
That's
"You
cool.
want to go?" And so I signed up for this free Damon John event at this hotel. And sure enough, we go, and there's no Damon John, right? There's just people
Yeah, yeah.
presenting, right? And they upsold us into spend 2 days with, Damon John's team, building your business and all of that fun stuff. And so we're like, well, maybe Damon will be there. And, we didn't want to half-ass anything. We were starting to get some traction with the t-shirt stuff. So I was like, well, if we're going to make this a real business, we got to invest a little bit. And, when you're working a full-time job, $2,000 is a lot of money, right? And so we obviously put it on the card and we went to this weekend and I never forget his name was Anders. It was one of Damon's marketing people. And he's like looking at our numbers and he's like, "You guys are doing pretty good." He's like, "You got someone doing your Facebook ads?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's me." And he's like, "Well, what's your experience with doing Facebook ads?" And I was like, "Oh, I've been doing them for like 8 years now because this was back in 2000 like 16, 17."
Mhm.
And I was like, "Well, it's me." And he's like, "Why are we," like, I never forget, he shut his laptop and he's like, "Why are we sitting here talking about t-shirts? Do you know how much money you could make by doing this for businesses?" And I was like, "I don't know." And he's like, "You can make like 10 grand a month." I'm like, "Dude, this dude is a scammer, right? There's no way I can make 10K a month doing this for like, that's crazy, right? Crazy talk." And so we just kinda left and we were like, "That's cute," or whatever, and we kind of toyed with it. I mean, it was probably a year of just toying around, like, with this idea because Christina had to be sitting at her desk at 5 AM because we live in Phoenix and Delta is Atlanta time, right? She had to be sitting at her desk. I was like one day I was like, "You know what? I'm just gonna go live and I'm just gonna put out some content and see if I can get some small businesses to watch my content and I'll have a conversation and see, what this is all about." And that one Facebook Live, 7 years later, here we
Holy
are.
crap.
And
Do you st
that's just kind of like how this whole thing started. And guess what? My strategy that I did back then is my same strategy that I do now. Nothing has changed about it. I go live or I put out video content. I give away a freebie. I get conversations in Messenger and I show up and serve and give value. That is still the same strategy, except the only thing that I do differently today is I put $5 ads on those videos that I do.
Gotcha. Yeah, it looks like you just kinda mapped it out there. Do you still speak to, Anders, the guy that did marketing for Damon Johns, or
No, I need to at some point look him up because I have told this
Yeah,
story so many times that, yeah, he would probably be pretty impressed with
what
how
you've
far
done.
his advice has gotten me by now.
Yeah, I think you would love to hear that, and that's amazing that he helped you kind of propel and, change build out
Made
stuff
that
where you can do
idea.
Yeah, exactly. You mentioned you got married in 2016, and I like to hear people's approach with this one, but what made you wanna get married and settle down?
So I got married in 2018. I met my wife in 2016. We got married
Okay,
in 2018.
okay.
This was before we had our business. Our business turned 7 on April 18th of 2018 was when we started. So it turned 7 years in April of last year. So I mean, we were going to get married anyway. Like we both had full-time jobs and that's just kind of what you do when you find your person.
Well, what's the best advice you have for people that are married that are trying to build businesses? Because I think it kinda goes both ways. Some people can gel, work together, some people can't. What's your
Yeah.
take?
It's a tough one. So my wife and I are equal partners in the business. Alex Harmozy always says, "Go find your Layla." I always say, "Go find your Christina," right? Because I am the crazy creative that will fuck a lot of shit up. And Christina is the COO. She's very structured. She's very by the book.
Mhm, mhm.
And so we work really, really well together. Some married couples will refuse to be in business together because they will end up killing each other, which it makes sense. Like it all depends on how your personalities are, right? Because you don't want two CEOs, you don't want two COOs either, right? You have to have, we use the Colby score, right? Like she's high fact finder, I'm high quick start. I'm low fact finder, like I will just I want my hands on the data, like, I will just go do something, I'll have an idea, I'll go do it. Christina will spend months planning. And so
Wow.
there's kind of like that fine balance. I see so many times though, with my own clients,
Mhm.
that they will start a business and their spouse resents them for it. And so it can be, a very difficult thing as an entrepreneur. I can't really speak to that. I've just noticed that there's a lot of people who go into business and their spouse isn't on board with it, and it just makes things way complicated. I am very blessed in a way that we both wanted she was the one that was in college for it's funny, she actually dropped out of college while getting her business degree because our business took off. But she,
Wow.
instead of like going to get her degree in a business, she actually built a business. And so she was the one that was the more business entrepreneur minded of the two. I just happened to have the skill that allowed us to actually build the business.
Cool. Well, that's good that you guys had that working relationship. What's the next thing for you guys? Because you guys built a great business. You guys are partners, half and half, sounds like. But like, what's your vision together as a couple for
Yeah,
the
so
company?
our company is fine as is. It's been that way for probably about 2 years. Our programs stay full. So there's no plans to grow that. What we have been doing is investing in companies that we believe are going to be something, one day.
Hmm.
And so we spend, a lot of our time, investing in tech companies and real estate and stuff like that, just kind of like growing what we've already built versus building a company that because you can only scale, our company so big before you start having to hire people, and we just don't have any desire to hire anyone. We work about 3 or 4 hours a day, 5 days a week, and we can pretty much do what we want. And so we've pretty much just decided that what we have is good enough, and we're able to, yeah, live the life that we want, and that's the goal. That's always the goal. I think so many people work really hard to get where we are, and then they think that they're like, "Well, I wanna be successful so that I can spend more time with my family." And then they get to this point where they could spend all of the time with their family that they want, but they're chasing more, and so they never actually get to spend. So they're getting further and further and further away from why they started their business. And so I see so many people fall into that trap. But I'm very lucky. I have two wonderful, mentors that help me stay grounded in that and just keep
Hmm.
constantly reminding me like, "Hey, you literally have the life. Go sit on the fucking beach and just enjoy it."
That's so cool. 3, 4 hours a day. That's the dream right there. You guys built a great empire. For running ads, do you think photos or videos do well? And I know you talked about this in your post, but for people out there who don't know,
They
what's your
they
take?
perform about the same, it really depends. There's not one that outperforms over the other. It's all about, like, the content.
But yeah, you mentioned
You could have a shitty video and a great written post. The written post is gonna do better, right?
written post is going to do better. Well, what's your take on that? Because you mentioned earlier how to stand out. For
Mhm.
anyone that has a business or starting a business, how the hell do you stand out
Gotta
in
do
your eyes?
video. You have to. Like, there is no if, ands, or buts about it. Like, you have to figure out a way to work a video strategy in because there's too many people who've been scammed. There's too many people who've been ripped off. And it's not just about showing up and doing how to videos. It's more, here's how I did this, right? Because like anyone can rip off any one of my how to videos on my YouTube channel, but they can't rip off me getting on camera with one of my students and actually in real time helping them. Those are the videos that I think are going to be super important, especially going into 2025, 2026, because you cannot replicate that.
No, not
And
even
so that's
close.
the way to stand out is over the shoulder, being of service and actually showing off your expertise. Like I will find any excuse to get on a Zoom call with people who need help and I'll just say, "Hey, could I record the Zoom call and use it for content?" And as long as I'm like, it's worth my time because that's something I can leverage over and over and over again.
That's a good approach. I didn't think about that one. And you have so many good like students out there in your programs and communities. What exactly have you done with I don't know if you can share any, but you have this great strategy and people follow what you say. So what examples can you give people out there to say, "Hey, like I've helped out X and so and I did this and this is what happened."
Yeah, absolutely. So the people that do like well right out of the gate with my strategy, right? There's two types of people, right? There's people who are already running ads and there's people who aren't. People who are already running ads are going to have a faster win with my strategy because if someone is running a direct response funnel, there's already warm traffic just sitting there, right? And so a lot of people look at ads and they're like, they think of the ad to the funnel, right? What my ad strategy does is builds content around the funnel, right? Because if you look at a direct response funnel, let's just use a webinar funnel. I think everyone listening to this probably knows what a webinar funnel is, right? You've got your landing page, you've got your play page, you've got your application page, and then obviously you've got your show up rate for your phone call, right? There's four black holes there, right? If you send 1,000 people to that webinar funnel, automatically 800 people will not move forward, right? Because 20% industry standard, right? So what if we had videos to feed them the webinar content, but in a different way, a snack size video, right? That's the first black hole that we plug, right, with some video ads. The second, right? So 200 people are moving forward, they've opted in, but guess what? Only 40% of those are going to hit play on the webinar, right? How many of us have opted into a webinar only for it to sit in our inbox saying, "Oh, we'll watch it later." Guess what? We
Mm.
never do. And so now you've gone from 1,000 people that you've probably paid $3 a click for, $3,000 to get 80 people to hit play on that video. And then guess what? The numbers get worse and worse and worse because out of the 80 people that are going to press play, only 10% are going to make it to the end to even see the offer. That's 8. So you just spent $3,000 for 8 people to see your offer. And so what my ecosystem does is it plugs all of the possible holes of that funnel. So if you're sending cold traffic to that funnel, you could literally retarget all of those people that have clicked on that funnel and not moved forward and figured out a different way to feed them that same content. Right? You could literally break up that webinar content into bite-sized 5-minute videos, run $5 ads, retarget, and then boom, you've got those people, right? And so I always tell students there's instead of just driving leads to a webinar, let's drive leads in a different way because webinars are built to get the 2 to 3% of people who are ready to buy right now, right? What about the 97 to 98% of people who aren't ready to buy? They're your ideal clients, but they're just not ready to buy. So let's build a list of those people, but let's do it in the cheapest way possible. Video ads are the cheapest way possible. So instead of just sending cold traffic to a funnel, send cold traffic with $5 ads to these 5-minute videos that feed them the same content that's inside that webinar. Build an invisible list, right? We call it an invisible list because when people are watching videos, you can't see who's watching, but Facebook's tracking. So we could actually
Mhm.
retarget those people. So now we've got physical leads from the webinar because we can see their names and emails, right? Because they've opted in. And then we've got the invisible leads. So now we've got 2 sets of leads, right? So those are that's the top of funnel strategy. The next part of the strategy is the most important. I like to call it a conveyor belt, right? Because if they have interacted with that funnel or engaged with any of these videos and watched, let's just say 25%, we put them on the conveyor belt. Cool. The conveyor belt is where organic and paid ads collide. Remember a while ago, I said it was my mission to get you to change your mind about the way that you see ads. You see my videos all the time, right? That's my conveyor belt. Anytime that I'm going live or I'm posting a video or a long form post, I'm simply hitting that boost button to the people who've either hit my funnel or watched 25% of my videos. And so, boom, boom, like my organic is just fire. Like it's just showing to all of the people who've already engaged with me. That's it. That's the strategy. And it just nurtures them until one day they decide, oh, I'm going to buy. And I will say this, most of the people who buy my high ticket stuff, I've never heard of them until they're in my messenger and they're like, hey, can I apply for your Lean on Laurel program? Because your most sophisticated buyers, they're just going to sit there and consume, consume, consume and lurk. And they're just going to, and that's how I use ads.
Holy crap.
But just think
That's
about this. Do you think, I'm going to ask you this, Terry, what do you think the strategy would work without a funnel?
yeah.
Right? It would work
You just
really
told me that,
freaking
yeah,
good
before we
without a funnel,
started.
right? If
Yeah.
yes, exactly. Exactly. So when I first started that pacing live video, free resource, DM conversation, helpful, right? Serve, show up and serve on a Zoom call, show up and serve in Messenger. I'm literally that's the conveyor belt. Like every single day, just show up and be of service to someone online, whether it's through a written form, whether it's through a podcast episode, right? This podcast episode is going to be on my conveyor belt. Even though it's going to go to your YouTube channel, I'm still going to boost it. Why? Because it's authority, right? And so,
Yeah.
like, everything that goes on the conveyor belt is literally just meant to serve, build authority and credibility and to just nurture them until someone's ready to make that buying decision. And so that's why some of my students, they can spend $300 or $500 a month on ads and make $10,000, $11,000 in their solopreneur business because this works without a funnel. So now instead of spending $3,000 for 8 people to see your offer in a webinar funnel, spend $300 to $500 and get $11,000, like, and I can't say that's going to work for everyone because I don't know what like the work ethic of everybody, but it happens more times than not. And so now you could see like whether someone has a funnel or they don't have a funnel, how congruent my strategy is with whatever, you know? And when we're talking about local businesses, this works even better because you can spend even less money and dominate a market.
Think that was my next question. I'm just mind blown. Oh my gosh. Like, this is what I'm saying when I watch your stuff, I get all, like, pumped up because you make it seem so easy. Like, damn it, like,
It
just
is
go do
easy.
it.
It is
It
so
is. It is.
incredibly easy.
My gosh. What about for local businesses? Because I think for anyone listening out there, let's sit there and say they have, like, a financial services where they do, like, life insurance stuff, terms and
That's
stuff like
perfect.
that.
One of our companies does that, literally run. Okay, I'll give you a perfect example. So one of our companies, TSFA, the Success Finders, it's an association, and so we offer insurance plans for entrepreneurs who would not get insurance otherwise, right? Like we're talking health insurance, like everything across the board, right? So we tested my ecosystem with the most boring offer possible, burial insurance, right? Like the
Oh
most
my
boring.
gosh.
And so all I did was I sent a couple of scripts to Brandon, 3 things you need to know before buying burial insurance. What's the difference between burial insurance and burial coverage? And literally ran those to cold traffic. They were already running these lead ads, like the billboard lead ads, like you know what I'm talking about, the
Yeah.
lead form ads. And then
Yeah.
I literally created a retargeting audience of everyone who opened our lead form ads. And then I literally sent Brandon, here are the top 7. I just went into Chat GPT, the top 7 to 10 objections that people have to buying burial insurance. And then I used my brain. I like to use Chat GPT as a second brain. I talk to it
Yeah.
all the time. And I said, "Hey, Chad," I said, "help me write 8 scripts. Here are the 8 hooks that I want to use. Let's tag team running some ads, writing some ads." And I wrote Brandon 8 video ads. And by the way, he's like me, t-shirt. He did them walking in the park. He did them riding in his car. And I was like, well, these probably don't look as good as I would, but whatever, fuck it. I'm going to put them in the ads manager. That's why I always tell my students, fuck it, put it in the ads manager. And guess what? They're having their highest quality phone calls at half the cost because people are very surprised that Brandon's the one on the phone taking their call. They're like, "Oh, I've been watching your videos. You helped me understand burial insurance. I thought it was covered by my life insurance policy. Thank you for letting me know it's not." Right? And so our insurance ads have gotten dramatically better. Our salespeople are closing more of clients because of the ecosystem ads. So that's how I even like at my last Phoenix event, I did it for a laundromat.
What? What?
Like it's
Like, value add for a laundromat? What? Like, get discounts, or this is how you should wash clothes? Like, what the heck did you tell
Yeah,
them to do?
like, like because
That
like you have to
simple?
say yeah, like here's like their main offer was, "Hey, we offer membership, monthly membership for, come wash your clothes." And we targeted the super successful busy women who don't have time to spend in the laundry thing. We have a premium service, but we will literally like, go and pick up your clothes. And then like we just have value videos like, here's how to get wine stains out of this, blah 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 blah. Hey, if you can't get it after watching this video, take it to us. Right? So it's like all of these like super valuable videos, but it works for any type of business. People are always like, "But my business is different." No, honey, your business is not different. Like you can make this for you can make this work for any type of business.
Gosh, I think you've cracked the code, and I think it's opening my eyes because you make it sound so simple. Like, explaining it, it sounds simple, and it's just about implementing it like you're saying. My
Yeah,
gosh, this your ecosystem. It's just
it's
oh my
just
gosh.
literally like getting up every day and showing up and solving one person's problem. If you literally did that every single day, threw $5 on it, there you go. That's the strategy.
I like in one of your posts on Facebook, you mentioned, I don't want to just target people that are ready to buy. I want to target the rest that haven't seen me. I mean, not in that context, but you made it seem like, hey, I want to go after the people that are, being left behind. And I
Yeah.
think that's a
So
good approach.
let me ask you this question, right? So I have like I know this is a podcast, so I'm going to try to make this audibly visual, right? everyone right now who's listening picture a football field, right? On the left side of the football field, you have your 97 to 98% of people not ready to buy. On the
Mhm.
right-hand side, you've got your 2 to 3% people ready to buy, right? So you run ads to your funnel or you run ads to this $5 video ad, right? Both of them will get on the conveyor belt that's stretched out across the entire field. Okay. There's something magical that happens. And I want everyone to listen to what I'm about to say because this is going to be the gold that you need in 2025. Okay. What do you think will happen? You've gotten that person on the conveyor belt and the conveyor belt starts moving. What is the magical thing that happens? And by the way, every person that I've asked this question to has gotten it wrong. So I'm going to plant
Gosh.
the seed. What is the magical thing that happens when that first person gets on the conveyor belt and makes it to the end? They get to the ready to buy side.
Like, what I mean, they have to go through a
What's
journey,
the
right?
magic? Right, but what's the magic that happens when that first person gets across the field into the 2 to 3% ready to buy side?
They buy. And
Right. That's what everyone says. That's cool and all, but the magic is there's a line of people behind them on the conveyor belt that's ready to buy 24/7.
okay, okay. Wow.
Right? When that first
Okay.
person gets on, you're constantly loading the conveyor belt and it's moving. The magic is now you have people ready to buy 24/7 versus trying to get the 2 to 3% into a
2 to
funnel all the
3%.
time.
I get what you're saying. That
So
actually
that's
makes
why
perfect
people who run
sense.
conversion ads, they're constantly having to change their creative. They're constantly have to find new audience to go and find. We're just exploiting a larger percentage of people who most people are ignoring because they're not ready to buy.
My goodness. That makes perfect
That
sense.
right there is the
My
secret sauce
goodness.
to getting my ad strategy to work. And anyone can do this. Anyone can do this.
Well, that's my next question here. Like, how can people reach out to you to learn more about your communities and what you have to offer, your programs, all that stuff?
Yeah,
This is a
absolutely.
no-brainer.
So I honestly tell people go to my podcast. If you go to Apple, iTunes, or Spotify, wherever you're listening to this podcast episode, just look up my name, Laurel Portier. Laurelportie. Okay. The best first step, you're going to see that I audibly read my book. You can buy it on Amazon, by the way. It's called Super Duper Profitable Ads, the $5 ads that built my 7-figure business. But you can listen to it for free on my podcast. I always tell people that that is the best foundational start for
Mhm.
anyone who's looking to get into my ecosystem. That's the best place to start. And then if you're like, you know what, I want to give this a try, then you can hop into my $7 a month program. That's adcoaching47.com. And there's 2 Zoom coaching calls every month. There's weekly Q&A, so there's absolutely no reason that anyone could not make this work because I give plenty of resources, there's hands-on help, and it's only $7 a month.
You can't even beat that. When I saw that on your page, I'm not even gonna lie, I was mind blown. I was like, she's only doing this for $7. This is a no-brainer for anyone trying to build a business. No-brainer. L'Oreal Portier is here just dropping bombs, guys. So I'll have her podcast. And where else can people reach out to you, L'Oreal, on social media? Is it TikTok, Facebook? Like where?
It's definitely not TikTok. If anyone wants to, wants to reach out, just go to Instagram. It's at The Laurel Show.
At the L'Oreal show. Okay, cool. So we'll have the links below on that as well. L'Oreal, like my thought process, I have to try this out. So I'm gonna have to let you know how that goes. I'm very scared, but you're putting some wisdom in me and I'm building confidence more
You
and
could
more every day to
literally
kind of just
all you
try.
would have to do is literally take all of your podcast episodes, make clips out of them, and throw $5, and then just drive traffic to your podcast. Like, that's all you have to do. You wouldn't even have to create any new content. Like, if getting this podcast is, like, your main, like is the main thing that you wanna do is drive traffic here, I would literally just do that.
I'm gonna have to do that. And I have endless podcast episodes too, like talking to great, amazing people like you. Like it,
Yeah.
I don't clip it enough to be honest. I slack on that. I don't have a manpower yet, but
You
that
don't even need manpower, just go to Opus Cl
yeah, Opus clips. Yep, yep. Oh my gosh, giving value left and right, L'Oreal. What's the best place? 'Cause you mentioned funnels. We talked before the podcast. For me personally, a lot of people like running to webinars and funnels, like you mentioned. You're like, you don't even need that crap. Are we just talking just running it to like DMs, like to Messenger or to lead forms? Like,
What if you ran it to nothing?
I mean, what? So
I
we're
mean,
not
you could.
gathering
I mean, no, you can't. No, you can't. You could run it to a link. I always tell my students, like, you can just run it to run it and give value. You could run it to give something away, like something for free, like an indirect offer, or you can run it to a direct offer, like book a call or anything like that. But you can mix and match.
mix and match.
Most
Okay.
of my
Oh
ads
my.
go nowhere. They're just videos of me giving value.
Yeah, you giving value, and I think you and like Alex Hormozy, all these big people, and starting to learn this. You guys give nothing but value, leave nothing on the table. Just like your lives, your stuff I see online, you're literally going through like what to do step by step. I'm
Yeah.
like, what is L'Oreal doing here? She's just giving it all for free, and that's
If
what you
I
have
don't
to
give it
do.
away for free, someone else will.
Well, yeah, that too, that too, that makes sense.
Yeah, information is not something you can sell these days because of like ChatGPT and everything. It's all about selling the implementation and the speed.
That's true.
Information has just become like a commodity.
Commodity indeed. I feel like that's key, and I think you're doing a great job, especially going live. L'Oreal, you mentioned you're in Mississippi. Weird question I'm going to ask. What's the best part of living in Mississippi, and why do you love it so much?
Because I'm sitting here looking at dolphins playing right in front of my, like, window right now. That's why, like, if you've seen me, like, look over here, it was because, like, one of them did a really big splash a while ago. I was like, "Holy crap."
Oh my
But yeah,
God.
it's chill. It's super chill. I've always wanted to live, I'll leave you guys with this lesson. So whenever I first started my business, my mentor asked me the question. He's like, "What do you wanna achieve?" Because at this time, we only had one of our houses, and my mentor was like, what is your goal? Like, what is your solvable problem?" I was like, "Well, in the next 5 years, I wanna buy a beach house in California."
Mhm.
And he asked me, he's like, "Do you wanna buy a beach house in California, or do you just want a beach house?" And I was like, "Well, I just want a beach house." He's like, "Don't you live in the Gulf in Louisiana?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Where's your favorite place to go hang out in the Gulf?" I was like, "Oh, there's this place called, Biloxi, Mississippi." He's like, "Go visit there and show Christina and see, if she likes it." And I was like, "You're right." And within 2 weeks, we had this house.
That fast. See, that's goals right there.
He's
Well,
like,
congratulations.
he's like, "You could afford that right now." He's like, "A beach house in California, you won't be able to afford that for fucking 20 years going towards the way you're going."
Hmm.
Because beach houses in California are millions and millions of dollars, whereas here, I'm on the beach for a fraction of the
Yeah,
cost of the beach house. And then we also have a house that we bought a year and a half ago, that where we have our mastermind stuff. We actually have students come here and mastermind, but we bought a house in the French Quarter in New Orleans. So we've got 3 houses now, 2 of which that we use for client stuff.
that's so amazing. Yeah, tax write off too and everything. Look at you
Heck
guys.
yeah. That's why it pays to have good mentors.
Yeah, of course, 100%. Mentors like you, especially with the ads. So we got the queen of ads in the house, guys. L'Oreal Portier. First and foremost, L'Oreal, what's your plan for the rest of the year? You got so much going on. You're giving value. You're building your business.
Obviously,
What you
to
guys
hang
got
out
going
with
on?
more of my students. Like, like, there's, that we have an event, for B of E coming up in, the Dominican Republic. We're doing my 7-year anniversary for the $7 program September 7th in Dallas. We've got another Laurel hangout with my students in, Phoenix, Arizona. The goal the rest of the year is literally just hang out with my students and just continue to build relationships, because that's honestly my favorite thing to do. Like, Zoom calls are cool, but actually having students here and being able to, do pretty much just do everything hands-on in person, and just, to me, there's just nothing like doing that kind of stuff. I mean, Zoom calls, like I said, are cool, but the rest of the year is really me spending time in real life with my students.
I love that response. And I think more people should be like you in coaching. You care about people. You're very humbled. Got great feeling and energy from you all above. Like you're just a great individual. So thank you so much for coming on and spreading your knowledge and your expertise on how people can make money. And I think everyone's trying to make money. And I think you're the one-two person to go to for that.
Well,
So I
I
appreciate
appreciate
you.
that, and thank you for having me.
No, thank you, guys. So the first and foremost, guys, I had the links below. The queen in the house of ads, L'Oreal Portier here. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, let me know, and I'll direct you to her. She's the best in the business in my eyes. And until the next episode, guys, peace out.